and welcome to the Preschool All-Stars podcast. I'm Bethany Johnson, and I'm joined today by Onica King. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to speak with you today. We're going to get your whole story and what's going on right now. But first, I want to hear where you were before. Let's back it up a little bit. What was going on before you decided to go on your preschool journey?
My journey really started, it really started in high school.
Okay.
So I used to take a lot of child development classes and stuff like that. So kind of like fast forward, I went into like daycare and stuff like that. And I found daycare was like really I found it too long.
Long hours.
Long hours. I came home all messy and exhausted and
yeah. Did you work at a daycare? Was it like a big center?
Yes, I worked at a big center.
Okay.
And then I worked at one where it was like a small chain that had like 3 locations.
Okay.
And then I worked at one, believe it or not, that was kind of Bible based. So it's like a Christian daycare.
Mm-hmm.
And I found like all 3 different settings was the same thing. It was just long, exhausting days.
Yep. And how long did you do that for?
I did that for about 10, 12 years.
Okay. And did that bring you up to right before this whole journey?
So then I left there and I did like a couple years in the public school system.
Okay. With pre-K?
Yeah, pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade.
Okay. So do you have a teaching license? Do you have an education degree? What's your background in that?
Oh, so I do have a degree in business administration, human resource management.
Okay.
I do not have my certifications yet, but I do want to obtain them. But I was like a paraprofessional.
Okay. Yep.
Which I liked. It was pretty good, but then, the system gives you all these constraints and you got to follow. It's all about policy and litigation and all of that. So, I chose to leave that. And then I got sick last year in March, right when the pandemic hit. And I'm like, how am I supposed to teach? Because I do love teaching. So I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I have my friends on Facebook, and one of my friends sent me Joy's book.
Okay.
And I ignored it at first. No lie. I ignored it at first. And I was like, what is this? I am not reading another child.
Did she just mail it to you and you're like, what? Or did she like give it a preface like, I'm sending you this because of this? Or did it just show up at your house and you're like, what is this?
So she actually sent me the ad, like she like tagged me in it.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't want to do this. And she was like, okay, I think it's going to be very good for you. And I was like, I don't know. So like for a few months, I didn't do anything. So one day it was like 1:00 in the morning and something told me to go back to the ad.
Okay.
So I went back to the ad and I was like looking at it and stuff like that. And I was reading the book. Reading, the ad and stuff. And I was like, okay, let me order it. So I ordered it. And it actually was kind of helpful. Like it had a lot of information that I didn't even know. I was like, I was in the educational field for about 15 years at this point.
Yeah.
So, once I got the book and I started to read it, then I think I was looking for the group.
Okay.
And I found the free group. And then I somehow got into the All-Stars.
Okay.
I'm like, this is crazy. Like I was totally like, when I say like blown away, I was blown away because I felt like I had an actual chance to teach. I'm currently on dialysis.
Okay.
So I know I cannot like go back to work and stuff like that, like go into schools and stuff.
Yeah.
but I've always wanted to own my own like preschool. So I found that Joy's book gave me like the foundation to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm really, really happy.
Awesome. Okay, so that's your story up until now. So tell us what you got going on. Did you start an online preschool?
I did start an online preschool. Um, what actually ended up happening is my niece, she is 5, but her birthday is really late in November. So they're not going to let her into school until she turns when she's about to be like 6.
6, right.
So I was like, okay, well, let me create like, a preschool, pre-K type, you know, school situation for her. And so I did that. And then it spread it to another friend. So she was like, okay, I want to enroll my kid too. And her birthday was late as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then my aunt heard about it. And then she was like, well, can we enroll your little cousin in it too? And I was like, okay, that's fine. And then I had 3 other kids that enrolled just off my Facebook ad. So I started with 6
Okay.
in
And did you
total.
do like a founding family script?
I did something, yeah. I did that, and I got 1 student off of that.
Okay. And then
So,
you did like a paid ad on Facebook?
and then I did a paid ad,
Okay.
and then that's how I got the last 2.
Okay. So how long have you been doing that?
The paid ad I was only doing it for like a month.
Okay. And was it are they like local to you, or are they other places in the States, or?
No, they're all local to me.
Okay. And what do you charge? Well, first, actually, let's see. What is your setup? Like how long are your classes and when do they happen?
So my classes was Monday through Thursday.
Okay.
It was from 10 to 11. Actually, it
Okay.
was 10:45, but we were like having so much fun, it ended up going to 11.
Okay.
So, and then it was for 6 weeks, and it was 120 for
Okay.
everybody.
For the 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And did you do like Joyce has in her book with the teaching time and then the preschool pals, or were they all muted for any of it? Were they engaging with you the whole time? Was it recorded? Was it live? What are the details there?
So mine was live.
Okay.
We tried to do the teaching time and pay pals, but my students were like, either like first year experience, like having an education, like
Mm-hmm.
an educational setting.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of hard to do the oh, what is it called again?
The teaching time or the preschool pals?
Preschool
Preschool pals.
pals,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, they had a hard time doing that. So we just did the teaching time, but what I did was they were really good at like, so I kind of had to like mask it. And it's like, okay, let's do show and tell, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But they loved that. And that was actually student directed. Like they shared their favorite stuff, and then what they had to do was pick one of their friends to they had to pick one of their friends to share next.
Okay. And
So
do you have like a niche for your preschool, or is it just like preschool skills, or is it like faith-based, or, language or reading based, or do you do all the preschool skills?
I try to touch on all the preschool skills,
Okay.
but mostly math and English.
Okay. And what is your favorite part of teaching
Oh
online,
God,
at least?
watching them learn, they are just the best.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. Like when you watch them and you know that they're looking at you knowing that they can't do it, and then they, like when you're teaching them and then like a week later they come back and they show you that they can do it,
Uh-huh.
that is the best feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that. And did you send home any sort of like welcome? I know a lot of people send home like like a welcome box or like a supply box or something like that? Did you ever do anything like that?
No, I did everything online.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this one, because it was only 6 weeks. So
Right, right.
I did everything online, but for the year, which starts up in September, I'll be sending like boxes, like welcome kit
Okay.
every
Yeah,
month.
yeah. Oh, every month. Okay. And do you have like themes that go with the kit, or how do you decide what to put in the kit?
Themes.
Themes. Yeah. Is,
Definitely like themes.
is every month a theme? Is it a monthly theme, or is it bi-weekly or weekly, or how do you do your themes?
I'm gonna do a monthly theme.
Yeah. I think that's probably
Um,
the easiest,
yeah, it's definitely easier
especially
to
if
do
you're sending
that.
a box. You don't want to send a ton of stuff in it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's definitely starting like cost starting to add up at that
Yeah,
point.
totally. Totally.
Right.
Awesome. So do you have, is it new kids that you have signed up for your fall classes, or same kids, or have you added kids?
So currently there are 2 kids from the summer session that are going to be joining the fall session.
Okay.
So and that's all I have so far that have signed up, but I've definitely known to have like kids start to sign up like last minute.
Yeah, yeah. They always sign up last minute because the parents are like, "Oh
But
my gosh, I haven't
I
done anything. Oh
right,
no."
I need to find something. What am I gonna do
Yeah.
with the kids?
Yeah, yeah. I know. I always have people like message, especially on Facebook, while I'm like really hustling to get my ads out to fill the
Mhm.
spots, and they message, and then they're like, "Okay, thanks for the information," and then I don't hear from them. And I
Mhm.
fill the spots, and then they come back like right before the semester starts, and like, "Do you still have openings?" And I'm like, "No, sorry, I did 3 months ago when you messaged me, but now there's a wait list. Sorry." Do you
Right.
have your class capped at a certain amount?
Yes, 10.
10, okay. And
Yeah.
then would you, if you get the 10, would you make another class, or are you like, no, I'm just going to do that? It works for my schedule. Like, would you add more classes, or are you just trying to do the one class?
It depends on the amount of students. If I have above 3 students that are, so say
Class.
for example, I have 13 students.
Hmm.
Yeah, 10 will go into a class and then I'll make another class for the last 3.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So how does it feel to own your own business?
Oh my God. When I got my LLC, my EIN, and my
Mhm.
DBA was the best feeling in the world. I was like, oh my God, I can actually do this.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
having to talk to like when we did like kind of like a luncheon with Joy. I mean,
Hmm.
when I say like it was powerful, it was really powerful. Like it gave me a lot of self-esteem because when you're going through like all these medical situations and stuff like that, it kind of like it kind of gives you a blow to your self-esteem.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then you start to think, well, I can't really do things anymore like that. But it's like Joy gave me that power back and she was like, go ahead and do it. I remember one time I was telling her, I was scared because I was like, well, what if I can't do the live sessions anymore? And she was like, well, you can be the queen of recording. And I was like, she was like, you can record on your good days and just
Yeah.
record many videos. And I was like, you know what, Joy, you're right.
Yeah. I love that. Get your power back. That's great.
Right.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah, especially with health issues. I know what it's like to feel like so defeated by them, and feeling like, what am I going to do? Can I do this? And then having this that you can control, it gives you, because with health stuff, you don't have control over that, and it sometimes feels like stuff is just happening to you, and you can't, you don't have control over it. And then to be able to like start a business that you have full control over, and you can set your schedule, and you can do it the way you want, the way that works for you, and whatever condition you're in, like, that's really cool. That's a great thing to have.
Right.
Yeah, getting your power back. I like it. So do you have, what are your future plans for your preschool?
Oh my gosh. I actually want to, when like all this madness stops with the pandemic, with the virus, and now it's like Delta, and I'm like,
I
oh,
know, I know.
because I actually wanted to go local in the fall.
Uh-huh.
But once they were started talking about Delta, I was like,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
for their health and minds. So
Yeah, I know. It's scary. I was really hoping that last year I was like, all right, we made it through last year. This year will be different. We'll be able to go on field trips and do all these things that I imagined when I first thought I would start a preschool. And now it's looking like, oh, we might just it might just be another last year.
right. And
Yeah.
that's how I feel like it's going to be. I mean,
Yeah.
even though like, over here in Maryland, we're still completely open.
Yeah. So are we. And the schools just opened up, and yeah,
Right.
it's just yeah, it's crazy here. It's crazy here. But I mean, parents are still looking for small group instruction because they don't want to send them to the big school. So it's still like, it's still bringing in business, but it's also like, it's I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard situation all around. And it's like every time I get a call, I'm like, oh, I hope it's not a call that one of my students has COVID, like
Right.
literally every time the phone rings, I'm like, oh, I hope it's not that call,
During my summer enrichment program, like if a kid missed like a day or more, I would call just to make sure that, they were okay,
Yeah.
parents were okay,
Yeah.
because I think that's very important
Mm-hmm.
to make sure we still have that communication and that they
Yeah.
still know we care. It's not, we don't just want their money. We actually
Right.
want to teach their kids.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's really cool about being a small program. If you only have, if you have 10 kids and one of them's not there, it's like, wow, we gotta check on these people. It's not just like, you're in a center with 100 kids and you're like, oh, little Johnny wasn't there. I don't, it's like,
Yeah.
no, like I'm in communication with my families all the time and making sure that they're all right. And it's nice to be able to have that really like close connection with all the families. Just 'cause
Right.
it's such a small group. You want it to be that way. Like I want to build like a family within my school, like I want the parents to know that I care about them and I want to know that they care enough about me and the school to like, take precautions and not bring their kid if they're sick. And, like that's really
Right.
important for everybody. So building that strong relationship is really important. And it's a lot easier to do with a small group, whether it's online or in person.
You're right. Like I just want my parents to know that we all are, this is a community. We are a village. And
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to do is to show our children love in this crazy, crazy, crazy world that we live in.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I can't, it's crazy that the kids are growing up in this and to them, it's kind of normal. Like my students talk about, like the virus, they all just say the virus, and like,
right,
that's just such a crazy thing for me to like picture growing up as like a little kid. And that's just normal to them right now because it's going on 2 years now, a year and a half, and they've just lived with it now. And that's like going to be such a huge part of their lives going forward, that whether they had to miss a year of school for it or just, I mean, and I feel like the kids actually deal with it a lot better than the adults. Like
they,
even, the kids that wear masks, I kind of leave it up to the parents right now. The kids that wear masks, they do so much better than any adult I've seen wearing a mask. They don't touch it. They're just like, they don't even care about it. And I'm like, wow, I guess that's just like, just kind of normal for them,
yeah, they do. Like my niece, at first we didn't tell her what it was because we didn't want to like, we didn't want her to like be scared, you
Right.
know? So we all agreed, me, her mom, my brother, and my mom, agreed
Mm-hmm.
not to tell her. So
Mm-hmm.
we didn't tell her anything.
Yeah.
All we told her was we can't go outside because there are a lot of germs and it can make you sick,
Mm-hmm.
like really, really sick.
Yeah.
And she was okay with that. But then it just got so bad that, we had to, I mean, we were talking about it amongst her.
Right. Right.
So she kind of like figured out, oh, it's COVID. And then she tried to use it against us. Like we went to the grocery store because we always tell her, do not touch anything and then
Yeah.
touch your face, right?
Right. Right.
So we all so we all went to the grocery store and she came back in my car and I had some groceries in the car. And I'm like, Blake, can you help me? And she was like, oh, remember, TT, I'm not supposed to touch anything.
Oh, that's great. Kids are
You can't be
smart.
mad at her,
Kids are smart. Yeah. That's really funny.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, so how has being a part of the All Stars and finding joy, how has being part of that group helped you in this journey?
It has helped me so much. Like the way we come together as women and women owning businesses and sharing ideas and bouncing ideas off of each other and stuff like that. Like the camaraderie here
Mm-hmm.
is really like great. I mean, the advice that you go and you post a question, and within like a minute and a half, somebody's already answering it
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
giving you like, helping you, or like giving you their opinion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or giving you like other ideas besides the one that you have.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is definitely a situation of camaraderie. Camaraderie. Yes.
Camaraderie. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I feel that all the time. I love going in there and looking at all the, I mean, I ask questions sometimes, but a lot of the time I just scroll to see other people's questions because I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good question. What did people say about this? There's
Right.
always so many things that I'm like, wow, I wouldn't even have thought to ask that. And now I already have like 50 great answers to that.
And
I
plus
love
I like helping too. So if there's a question that I can answer,
it.
I definitely answer it. So
Yeah. 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 It's great to be able to share whatever knowledge you have with other people because when everyone's going through the same thing, it's nice to have so many different perspectives on everything.
right.
So what would you say to someone who was in your position last year and didn't know what they were going to do, whether it's health issues or job issues or whatever, and are thinking about doing this and maybe not knowing if this is something they can do? What would you say to them to encourage them?
I would tell them to do it. I think, and I would tell them that it would be one of the best decisions in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. It was the
Yeah.
best decision of my life.
It
One of the
was
best
the best
decisions in
decision
my
of my
life.
life. Like,
Yeah.
it is crazy.
Yeah. It's crazy what to think where you were, a year ago. And then like we've all come so far. That's another thing when I look in that group and when I look at my life, like I'm like, wow, thinking where I was a year ago and where I am now, it's just crazy. All that can happen in a year with just from like one decision of like, all right, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm going to start a preschool and we're just going to see. We're going to see what happens. And then like that's where I was, and now I'm here and I'm like, wow, it worked. It's like that's so crazy how far you can come in a year and how much your life can change in a year or like 2 years, just as you go on this journey to see like, where you were, what you were feeling back then. Like I look back on when I was teaching and man, I was so stressed and I was so worried about my future and I was so worried about what was going to come, and now there's always stresses and worries, especially with COVID, but at least now I feel like I have something solid that I created that I'm in control of. It's
Hmm.
really cool. It's a cool feeling.
I was stressed too. I remember like I was actually going into like an alternative teaching route. And I
Yep.
actually
That's what I
got into
did.
I got into Teach for America,
Okay.
but I couldn't finish because I didn't get a chance to take the practice exams.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Right.
Man,
And
this
that was,
practice,
yeah.
that
And
practice was rough.
OMG, yes,
I
they
had to take the math portion a couple times of that praxis. I'll say that. That was one of my when I was trying to get into the program, we had to take the praxis before we got accepted into the program because it's like in the Las Vegas like within the school district that they're doing the program. It wasn't like Teach for America. And I had to take that math. This was like way back before I even decided to move. I was like, I have to take this test, get accepted into the program, and then I'm going to move across the country. If I can't get accepted, I got to stay here. So, man, taking that test, it like all depended. My whole future moving across the country depended on the praxis test. And it was so stressful.
it was
I'll
stressful.
never
I mean,
forget.
studying for it, and then even taking the practice exams were like,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
and they were like, oh, this is just information that you should have done in high school. I do not remember doing any of this.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I probably did do it with the math part I didn't have a problem with the reading and writing, but the math part, I always had problems with math, especially in high school. Like I was never good at math. I always hated it because I was bad at it. And so I had to like literally relearn like all of the high school math that I forgot because it's been 15 years. And it was hard the first time. and it was hard the second time. But
Right.
it's funny
Like,
because being a teacher, like first and second grade, I feel like I learned so much going back over those basics and like really getting a better grasp on the simple math concepts. Obviously I knew how to do all the elementary math, but like getting a grasp on how it really works instead of just like memorizing some formulas that I could hopefully remember to apply, like being a teacher really helped me understand math more. But I
right.
had to get through the practice first.
I remember like, because I had to study for the praxis 1 and 2.
Hmm.
And 2, the praxis 2 was early childhood education.
Hmm.
And I remember studying it, and actually, as I'm teaching my summer program, I remember putting like the phonological awareness
Hmm.
and concept,
Yeah.
like putting all of those into play
Yeah.
with the kids.
Hmm.
And then it helps you understand it so much more
Totally. Totally.
instead of just reading it in a book.
Yeah. Even
Now
like
you're
grammar
applying
and
it.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. It really does. Like it's crazy how teaching like such simple skills that, we think we know, like I know how to speak, I know how to read, I know how to write, but really like breaking it down into things like phonological awareness and the phonics components of all of it have helped me become a better speller, which I never really was before, better at
Right.
grammar, just a little bit better at grammar, still not very great at grammar, but like it just helps you. It helps you in all these skills that you don't realize because going back to the very beginning, the foundations is what we teach. And it's good to have, it's nice to know where that came from instead of just, we know it now. And I don't really know, I don't
What
think
to
about
do
it.
with it? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't know what to do with it now that I have it. Like,
Right.
you
Yeah.
never think about those skills. And once you have to, like you said, break it down
Yeah.
and teach it, it's like, OMG, like, you know,
Uh-huh.
the kids are learning it and you're like, oh my God, they're getting it. Let's
Yeah.
hope they stick to it and not
Yeah.
do what we did.
Yeah, totally. I know. Well, that's another thing is like when I was teaching in the school district, I was also, because I went the alternate route to licensure, I was also taking the classes. So I was getting my teaching license. So I was back in college, taking the teaching courses while I was actually teaching. And
Mhm.
it was very different. Like they were teaching, all these methods, all these things. And then in the classroom, I wasn't allowed to really apply them because I still had to I had to give them this curriculum that didn't really, match with what I was being taught the best practices were to teach kids. And so like I had two of these very different dynamics of what I was allowed to do in the classroom and what I was supposed to be doing, like being taught the degree, what I was supposed to learn to get my teaching degree. It was really frustrating. So now being the owner, I can apply what I wanted to apply, and I'm not so like constrained by the district and that curriculum. And, if something's not working, I'm like, oh, it's not working. And I don't have to, you know, fight with the boss who isn't in the classroom to be able to change stuff up to,
Exactly.
work it for each kid. And it's like a very freeing feeling, I think, to be able to teach the way, you want to teach.
Yeah, because I definitely like my style of teaching because
Hmm.
I try to cater to all kids and make sure that all they're understanding the material that's being taught, whether they can look at it and see it,
Hmm.
or they need to look at me to understand it.
Hmm.
Because they all learn at different speeds and different ways, and we have to learn how to start catering to that, because if we do, I think we will have a lot more successful kids in school,
Yeah.
and kids who actually want to go to school.
Right,
No,
exactly, exactly. And that's a huge part of that is like smaller class sizes. Like that
definitely.
cannot be emphasized enough how important that is because every kid learns different and every kid learns at a different pace and they learn differently. And when you're in these classes with, 25, 30 kids, you can't do that. You can't differentiate. You can't cater to the kids. You can't do it. There's just no
Right.
possible way. So like that I feel like is one of the biggest components in education that we need to fix because yeah, we know that every kid learns different and every kid learns at their own pace. So why can't we set up an environment where they can do that?
Exactly. And if they would hire, if they can lower the standards
Mhm.
of the, like having to do it's all about money. for some reason now, because you have to pay to do the practice, then you have to pay the practice too, then you have to pay to get the license
and the classes and
and the classes and stuff like that. And we need more teachers.
Yeah, I know. We
need more teachers. So
and that's why it's nice you could now you're running your own thing.
Right, exactly. So I don't even have to worry about all that.
Yeah, you don't got to worry about any of that. It's great.
But I'm worried because, you know, the population in Maryland mostly goes to school under the public school system.
Yeah.
And I'm very kind of like worried. Like we put my niece in private school. She's in a class of 12 students.
Oh, wow. That's nice. That's really nice.
Right.
Yeah.
I've been actually homeschooling her since she was about 1.5, almost 2.
Okay.
But she has definitely a jump start.
Right.
On everything. So
yeah, that's really nice. Were you saying you're worried about like enrolling kids because everyone goes to public school?
Yeah, because I realized that is the trend in Maryland that they want to.
Even right now with COVID and everything, because I mean, this is a great time to you know, a lot of people don't want them going right now. So this is the good time to do the online thing. And then once you get that online thing, then you kind of have a name already, you know. That's what I've noticed. Like my second year now, I did not have to hustle as hard for signups because I got a lot of word of mouth. So, and this is a good time to build up the original, you know, build up that clientele who doesn't want to go to public school because of COVID. And then once you got that, then you have other parents who are like, you know, talking in other parents' ears, and they're like, oh, maybe I don't want to, you know, who might be a little apprehensive to send them to school even without COVID. And then once you have the name and once you have the people talking about you, you know, it's so much easier to get the signups.
So that's what I'm gonna see if my friends, if they have kids that want to come online, stuff like that. And if they don't, if they have friends and stuff like that, I'm also going to do postcards with, you know, all my information on it.
Yeah.
And send those out. And then I'm actually, our library system is like for a lot of like stay-at-home moms.
Yeah, the library is awesome for that.
Awesome. So I'm gonna
you can even go during a story time and put the cards on all the cars in the parking lot during story time, because that's when all the moms are there with the preschoolers.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna do. Because I remember going to story time and there were all these kids, and I remember having conversations with some of the parents because I used to take my niece all the time. So, and they were like, yeah, if we could just place, you know, if they can just have like an hour or 2 online while I go like wash dishes.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Totally. Yeah, definitely hit up the library.
Yeah.
That's a great resource. Awesome. Well, thank you for speaking with me and sharing your story. I wish you all the best of luck in your fall classes and with everything else going on.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We appreciate when our all-stars share their stories. We love hearing them. You have a great night and good luck with everything.
All right, thank you.
If you'd like to have a success story just like that one, I invite you to join our Preschool All-Stars. It's my exclusive membership community where you'll get mentorship from me with weekly Q&A lives, support and guidance and friendship from hundreds of women on the exact same journey as you, starting, running, and growing their preschools, and my exclusive access to Preschool University, every training and done-for-you file that you'll need for every milestone on your journey to help you start, run, and grow your preschool. We've all been there, and we've got the exact same steps that you need to go through, but we do it all very quickly so that you don't have to waste time or money doing the wrong things at the wrong time. We'd love for you to join our Preschool All-Stars membership. Just go to preschoolallstars.com or click the link in the description to immediately jump into Preschool All-Stars. Again, go to preschoolallstars.com and we'll see you there.